Well, hello everyone. Today is Thursday, May 21st. I've decided that I'm moving to Fargo, where the wind isn't quite so strong, huh? Anyways, we've got two more chapters today. I'm going to read chapters 33 and 34 to you. The first chapter is called Fire. Pretty short chapter. It's only 3 pages, and the next one is called The Girl Who Died, and that one's 5 pages. So we're getting closer to the end. I don't think I'll have it finished by tomorrow, but I should have it finished by the early part of next week. Okay. So before I get started reading, don't forget tomorrow at noon we're going to have a Google Meet meeting just to wrap things up for the year, to tell everyone what we've been up to for the last 2 months, what our plans are for the summer, and just kind of say goodbye to everyone, huh? So, in the meantime, I'm going to read to you right now. So this chapter again is called Fire. In the past, I've been pre-reading each chapter before I've read to you, just because there's some Japanese phrases, some Japanese words and such that I try to get down, but trying to get things done in a little quicker way. I'm reading these before pre-reading, so if I get stuck on something, just bear with me. Here we go. The girl's name was Masako. She had been a student at the girls' high school in Naha before she and her classmates were conscripted as nurses into the Shikina Field Hospital. Conscripted is kind of like, hey, forced into the military, so to speak. It was terrible, she told Hideki as they picked their way slowly up a muddy slope in the darkness. They were only going a few hundred yards to another command post nearby that Masako knew had nurses. But they had waited until night when it was safer. Masako had decided to come along with Hideki because she had nowhere else to go. At first it was just scrapes and bruises, Masako said. But as the Americans pushed south, we received more and more wounded. We ran out of medicine within the first few weeks. Bandages, too. We reused those when we could. It was the nurse's job to wash the bandages out in the river while American bombs fell all around us. The only other thing we could do was hold the wounded soldiers' hands and talk to them while they died. So that was what his sister had been doing the whole time too, Hideki thought, if she was still alive. Any hope he had to find Kamiko at the next command post was dashed when he and Masako crept through the entrance. It had already been abandoned by the IJA. Hideki and Masako split up to search the cave for anything to eat or drink. Hideki took a narrow tunnel away from the main passage and came to a small observation room cut into the side of the hill. He stopped to look through the opening and gasped at what he could see in the distance. Shuri Castle was on fire. The whole hill was a bright red bonfire in the darkness. The castle's pillars toppled as its ancient walls collapsed in flame. Hideki was numb as he watched Shuri Castle burn. Of course it was on fire. Of course it was destroyed. He'd been a fool to think that the Japanese army could defend Okinawa, and a fool to think that Shuri Castle would survive. Everything on Okinawa would burn. A divine wind might still come to save Japan, but no kamikaze was coming to save this island. Shuri Castle was gone, and Okinawa was gone with it. Hideki, look! Food! Masako cried. Hideki's growling stomach won out over his heartache, and he rushed back to the main cavern. Masako had found a half-empty crate of IJA rations. Food in tin cans. Hideki and Masako had to use bayonets that had been left behind to punch holes in the cans, but it was worth the effort. The tins were filled with delicious pineapple slices. Hideki gulped down 2 whole cans, making sure to drink every last drop of the sweet pineapple juice. He was just getting to work on his 3rd can of pineapples when a squad of Japanese soldiers from another command post came into the cave searching for leftover supplies. They immediately confiscated all the tin cans Hideki and Masako had opened. "Why are you here?" a lieutenant demanded. "We came here from the field hospital," Hideki said. "The Americans attacked and drove us out." The lieutenant nodded. "Well, it's time for you to both rejoin the army. Come with us." "No, not again." Hideki just wanted to find his sister and not get pulled back into the war. He looked around for some place to run, to hide, but one of the soldiers was already grabbing him and Misako by the arms and dragging them to their feet. "This is your island, after all, not ours," the lieutenant said. "You should be the ones fighting for it." What island, Hideki thought. What was there left to fight for? And who should be fighting? Hideki hated the Americans for attacking it, and the Japanese for giving them reasons to attack. The Japanese soldiers dragged Hideki and Masako to another cave. It wasn't far away, but it hadn't yet been discovered by the Americans. This bunker was crammed full of Japanese soldiers, both healthy and wounded, and 8 Okinawan children who had taken refuge with them. Hideki and Masako were quickly forgotten, and the food they had found was taken away and given to the soldiers. Hideki fumed, but didn't say anything. He knew better than to argue. "We've got to find a way out of here," Hideki told Masako. "Why?" Masako asked. "Isn't it safer with the soldiers?" "It wasn't very safe in the field hospital, was it?" Hideki pointed out. "No, you idiot." It wasn't Masako who had spoken. It was another girl nearby, a nurse, scolding one of the children. Hideki could see who the girl was. Hideki couldn't see who the girl was, but there was something about the way she said the word idiot. Something in the scolding yet compassionate tone that made his heart skip a beat. His eyes went wide. Could it be? Hideki broke away from Masako and flew across the room. 2 Japanese soldiers barked at him for squeezing between them, and he almost fell, pushing his way through a knot of arguing children. But at last, he found her. The nurse had her back to him, tending to a young boy's scraped knee, and Hideki grabbed her by the shoulder and spun her around. It was Kamiko. Wow, after all that, he finally found his sister. So, now they have to get themselves out of the situation, though, All right, next chapter. The Girl Who Died. "Hideki!" Kamiko gasped, her eyes growing huge. "Kamiko!" Hideki cried. Hideki couldn't believe his good fortune. His sister was alive, and he'd found her. After all he'd been through, after all he'd done and all he'd lost, finding Kamiko felt like the sun emerging after weeks of rain, and he basked in its warmth. Hideki hugged his sister tight. After a long minute, Kamiko held Hideki at arm's length and gazed at him like they hadn't seen each other in years. Hideki wondered what he must look like, stick-thin, barefoot, hair a wet, tangled mess, wearing an oversized Japanese uniform. Did he look years older, the way Yoshio had? Kamiko definitely looked older, more adult. Her round face had lengthened, and her full cheeks had flattened. She looked weary and wary, like she had seen too much to be shocked by anything anymore. And she looked wiser, too. Kamiko wore her nurse's uniform, a gray, Western-style pleated dress with short sleeves and a wide white sailor collar. Pouches for bandages and medicine hung from a wide black fabric belt worn high above her waist, and a white nurse's hat covered most of her black hair. Just a hint of a white streak still showed. Kamiko looked as happy to see Hideki as he felt, but then her face fell as she smacked him hard on the head. "You idiot," Kamiko told him. "You got here just in time to die with the rest of us." "Ow, don't! I hurt my head," Hideki cried. Kamiko felt gently in his hair for the wound and found his stitches. "What did you do?" she asked. What do you mean, die with the rest of you? Hideki asked, deliberately ignoring her question. The Japanese soldiers here are going to attack the Americans tomorrow morning, and we are the first wave, Kumiko told him. They're going to use the Okinawan children as human shields. Hideki's heart cracked into pieces and fell apart. He sat down in an empty ammunition box and stared at the boys and the girls at the back of the cave. They were all much younger than him, around 5 to 10 years old. They couldn't know what was coming and couldn't do anything about it if they did. To think about these little boys and girls, after all they had lost, being thrown to the American guns, Hideki closed his eyes and cried without tears. What are you even doing here? Kumiko asked him. I came to rescue you, Hideki told her. Rescue me? I was about to rescue myself, and now I have to rescue my little brother too? You don't have to rescue me, Hideki protested. I'm rescuing you. Kumiko's expression shifted from exasperated to suspicious. She squinted and looked him up and down. What? Hideki said. Kumiko didn't say anything, but it was clear to Hideki that she could see there was something different about him. Could Kumiko see Rei's Mabui on him without Hideki even telling her about it? There was something else he needed to tell her first. Kumiko, Oda is dead. So are Ama and Isamu. Kumiko put a hand to the wall of the cave to steady herself. I knew that Ama and Isamu were gone. I heard their ship had been sunk. But Oto? I sensed he had gone to join our ancestors, but I didn't know for sure. Tears spilled from her eyes. You and I are all that's left now. That's why I came for you, Hideki told her. I was with Oto when he died. I promised him I would find you, and I did. Kumiko laid a hand on his shoulder, and Hideki covered his sister's hand with his own. I've never told our parents what really happened to me. How I got the white streak in my hair, Kumiko said. I never told anybody. Hideki frowned. He couldn't remember a time when she didn't have the white streak. It was years ago, when you were just a baby. I was too little to go in the ocean without Oto and Ama there. But I did it anyways. Me and Fumiko, another girl from the village. A giant wave came and tumbled me, sweeping me under and flipping me over and over so I didn't know which way was up. I never felt so helpless, so out of control. I couldn't breathe, and I couldn't scream. I hit my head on a rock and I passed out, and the next thing I knew, I was flat on my back on the sand, and Fumiko was bent over me sobbing. She told me I wasn't breathing when she pulled me out of the water. I had drowned. I was dead. And now I was alive again. Hideki was aghast. How had he never heard this story before? I never told Oto or Ama what happened because I didn't want to get in trouble. But when my hair grew back in the place where I had cut myself, it grew in white. And from that day on, I had a special connection with the dead. That's why I'm a Yuta. Her voice grew soft. I've been dead once, Hideki, and I don't want to die again. Then we've got to get you out of here, said Hideki. Is there another way out of the cave? Yes, Kumiko told him, but we're not going to like it. I wonder what that's all about. I have a feeling. I think I know. So, tune in tomorrow and find out what they have to go through in order to get out of the cave, huh? All right, the next chapter is called The Mother of All Bombs. What do you suppose that's about? I think I have an idea what that is too. So, all right. Hope everyone's having a great day and a great week. And remember the Google Meet meeting at noon tomorrow, huh? Okay, everyone. Take care. Bye.